Welcome to Melissa Honey Speaks, where we chat about feminine magic, mindset, and manifesting. I'm your host, Melissa Honey. Hey, honeybees. Welcome back to another episode of Melissa Honey Speaks. On today's episode, let's chat about this whole idea of women redefining marriage, right? So, I get a lot of my inspiration from, YouTube and social media and all that. So I recently saw like a brief clip from a podcast where it was a man. I want to say he may be a relationship coach or something like that, but I'm not really sure. But anyway, I saw him talking. He was being interviewed, and the person who was hosting the podcast was asking him about what he think about women saying things like, I don't need a man, and da-da-da-da-da. And he went on to say what his opinion was on that, and I'm not going to go into that because I can't remember his name to even give him the benefit, right? So anyway, I was thinking about it myself, and that what he was saying was basically that women aren't really saying they don't need men, but they don't want them, they don't need them. So I was in agreement with that. So I was thinking that, women, there was a time when women did need men for the benefit of basically just living, right? They couldn't have bank accounts, they couldn't own property, all the things that normal men could do, women could not do unless they had a husband, or unless their father had to do it. So they wanted to buy property, it had to be through their father. They wanted to open a bank account, they had to have a man to do it. Now, I'm not sure of all the dates when women were able to, have bank accounts, all things. It doesn't really matter. But I know for a fact that people like my mom would be considered a baby boomer of that generation. And that generation, they had to have husbands, and they were raised to, the goal was to get married, have children, and, build a life that way. And then later generations are becoming more and more aware that marriage you don't have to have marriage in order to, women don't need to be married to have a bank account. They don't have to be married to have property and to really be considered, to really function in society, right? Nowadays, women can have bank accounts. They can buy property. They can do all the things that they didn't have the right to do before, and they're not seeking marriage. They don't have to seek marriage for those things. So it's becoming, to me, I think that women are redefining what marriage is for them. They're not saying they don't need men, but they don't need men to validate them. They don't need men to marriage is not necessarily the goal all the time for women. They're looking at other goals in life, and marriage is one of the things that they can choose. They don't have to have it in order to live, right? So because of that, like I said, younger generations are redefining what they look for in partners. They're looking for actual partners. They're not looking for just a man who can, to have kids with, and just any man who gives them the time of day, them marry them because, you need a man, right? Because you don't need one necessarily to live. Women don't need them to live their life anymore. So they're redefining it to where they're looking at what marriage means to them and what they want to find in a partner, rather than be marriage being the only goal. Like, I got to get married, I got to do these things, because they're actually seeking out characteristics and qualities in partners and partnership versus I'm the wife and he's the husband and he's in charge and all these things, right? That women had to have before, because women didn't have any rights in society to do anything. But now women can do what they really want to do. So as they're redefining marriage, they're looking at it as a way to have companionship and other things that are more important. They're looking for quality mates versus just any old person who says, I like you, right? Because there was a time when if a man courted you for a while, you were going to marry them, just because you can't have sex without marriage. You can't, all these things you can't do because you're not married, so you got to find a partner. And men were doing the same thing. They were just looking for a wife, someone they could settle down with and have kids with, because that's what society was saying you had to do. But now society is saying you don't have to do those things, and you can actually take time and look for the mate that you want. So in essence, men and women are both redefining what marriage is to them, because like initially, traditionally marriage was about transferring ownership of a woman from the father's house to the husband's house. So And that doesn't happen anymore, right? Women are deciding that they want to be married or not. And society is seeing that women are valuable without having to be married. Women can be single and not married. Women can be married and still valuable. All these things that that women are deciding for themselves based on what they want, because they can choose. They're choosing what they want. So in essence, women still are not saying we don't need men per se. We're saying we don't need men in the way we used to need men in order to survive in society, in order to have children, have family, and all these things. We can do it the way we want to. So women are redefining what marriage is. And that's a great thing, because now you see more partnerships, you see more quality marriages where people are actually happy and they're choosing what they want. And they're choosing not to get married if they don't want to do that either, because they don't have to. So I think it's a great way to look at it versus women are, too independent. They're too masculine. They're not. They're just looking for new ways to have relationships that benefit them as a whole person versus just, I got to get married. I got to have children, because that's what society is saying. Society is saying you can choose. You can do what you want. You can live the life you want. You can choose quality partners with quality characteristics and things that you want to have. So yes, women do want and need men and desire men. They just desire it in a different way. They desire marriage. They desire it in a different way, and that's great. So let me end by saying women are redefining their lives the way they want to, because they can, because it's a possibility now when long time ago it wasn't. So as generations come up, they are redefining marriage and relationships. And that's a great thing, because now people get to choose. And that's the best thing, is that we all get to choose what kind of marriages or relationships that we want in life. And that's the benefit of this new age, right? So that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for listening to my podcast. Be sure to follow Masani Speaks on Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeart, Deezer, and you can also catch me on YouTube.